All right, here we are. We should be there. Check.
Okay.
What's going on, everybody?
Who we got in here? Nalo,
Nalo. We got it there. Yeah.
Don's here. Dane. We got a good crowd showing up, and the actual notification went out tonight. The last few couple nights it hadn't been going out, so that's a big plus. Okay. All right.
YouTube's starting to do its job a little bit finally, huh?
Finally. I mean, it's been bad.
It's still not showing up on my subscription feed though, unfortunately.
Oh man, I got the notification on my other phone. That's the only reason I knew about it. I did hang it on my channel page, so if you need it there, it's there. What's up, guys? So tonight we're going to talk MCU. I'm joined by the Skip and Tosh.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm glad y'all here. I'm excited to talk about some MCU with my guys Pele and my guy Comic Stats.
Also, like Skip just mentioned, we got Pele on here tonight, hanging out with us.
Yep, third time in a row. Won't be on tomorrow night though, but
I think I'm gonna have to take a night off tomorrow night. I got some stuff I got to get caught up on as well, but we can definitely do this tonight. Talk. I mean, there's a lot of MCU news out there right now. When you step back, unfortunately, Black Widow getting moved back was kind of a bummer. But I just asked this out the gate. What's y'all's thoughts initially after seeing that final trailer for Black Widow? Skip?
I'm pretty excited about it personally, and a lot more excited than I originally thought I would be, especially with the fact that we kind of know, what Natasha Romanoff's fate was after watching, after seeing Endgame and everything. And for me, I agree with most people. I think that this movie should have happened a little while ago, but after seeing the trailers, I am actually surprised about how excited they've been able to get me. And I think one of the main reasons, obviously, is Taskmaster, because Taskmaster has always been an interesting villain to me, one that, kind of always played both sides. Those people are always interesting, right? S.H.I.E.L.D. hires you to train some people, but at the same time, like Zemo or Red Skull is hiring, Hydra's hiring you to train some people. So him being in there and the Red Guardian, two deep cuts that I think they're going to do a really good job of making relevant. So I'm excited. So, obviously my excitement, me being bummed, also matches that. So, we'll see what they make of it. But for now, once we get past all of this craziness, I'm going to be pretty stoked to go and watch it.
Gotcha. Hey, Doc, welcome.
Hey guys, sorry.
I'm thinking it's probably. Hey, Doc.
Hey, Doc. What's up? Sorry, I nodded off a little earlier in my recliner and just kind of woke up a couple minutes ago.
Oh, no worries, brother. We've all been there. But we were just talking about the Black Widow movie and where our excitement level sits for that at this point.
Oh, you know what? Go ahead, Pele.
Oh no, I was just going to say I'm not sure that Doc really cares much about Black Widow. I don't think you were really on the. You were more in mind that MCU's over since Endgame's over.
Yeah, like Widow was kind of I kind of wanted to see Widow, and I kind of want to see Doctor Strange because I really liked the first Doctor Strange movie.
Me too.
And Widow and Strange were basically the only Phase 4 movies I gave a damn about. So, yeah, I mean, I'm still kind of interested in seeing it. I mean, I'll see it whenever it comes out.
I think Skip hit on it earlier that this movie is the movie we should have got between, brain fart.
Between Infinity War
and Infinity Gauntlet. I mean, this is the movie that should have been there.
Absolutely.
It would have built the story up for Black Widow. They could have went back and touched on everything, build that relationship between her and Hawkeye, and that moment on that ledge could have meant so much more if you'd have had that.
Yeah, but Budapest.
Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense to me. But Captain Marvel doesn't make any sense to me. It's just awful character, awful presence on the screen. Terrible actress. It's just and now she's going to be running the Avengers. It's like, no, I'm done with that. I'll go and watch Black Widow. I'll go and watch probably Doctor Strange too, because I did really love the first one. But there might be a couple more down the pipe, that individual one-offs, but it's not must-see cinema anymore for me. This is not, no interest there. Thor, Love and Thunder, can just burn in hell. I have no interest in it at all. So
I'm thinking, I'm with y'all. I think when I sat down and put my movies 1 through 21 or whatever it was, I think Doctor Strange ended up in my top 10, which kind of surprised me. But when I went back and watched it, it's a solid movie. The visuals in it are amazing, and it's good. It's one of the best, origin stories that Marvel has done, in my opinion.
I would have to say, yeah, it was definitely one of the better. Because I was kind of concerned for Doctor Strange with them actually doing an origin movie, because I kind of halfway expected, I'm like, oh god, it's going to be like adults becoming Harry Potter. But that's not really what it was at all. And I mean, it was a skeptic becoming a believer. And I wasn't a huge fan of the Mordo that was in that. And I still can't pronounce the dude's name, so I'm just going to say the guy that played Mordo. I liked him as an actor, but I just didn't like him as Mordo. But you know what? For the most part, I really liked that movie, much more so than I expected. I think that has a lot to do with the Benedict Cumberbatch's just general charm and charisma on the screen.
Or like my wife calls him, Cumberdink Bandersnatch.
Yeah. But yeah, no, like he's cucumber bunder sponge.
He's a good actor. I really liked him and Robert Downey Jr.'s interactions on screen. They were really good together.
Yeah, and I think that he really is the only guy left in the MCU that, in my opinion, has the presence on screen to really be the person that leads the Avengers, or becomes, would be the central Avenger, in my opinion. But they're not going to do that.
No. They've kind of already handed that off to Captain Marvel, which I think we talked about this the other day. The headbutt that didn't work when Thanos headbutted Captain Marvel right in the teeth and she didn't even blink. That's a problem going forward. That you had the guy that was that powerful couldn't. I mean, I think you said right after that right then afterwards he infinity punched her into space, but
no, not into space, just out of the movie.
Yeah,
she literally didn't show back up for the rest of the movie, and it was great.
But they asked her what happened to your character. What happened to your character at that point? You didn't come back, and she just sat there and she didn't say anything. She's like, I don't know. I don't know. How do you not know what your character did? It's just.
Now,
you were unconscious. Just say it. You were unconscious. But no, her ego wouldn't let her do that. So.
Well, and heck, we didn't talk about this when we were talking about the Black Widow movie, so let me get back to that. Do you think that with this last trailer they did, it improved your initial thoughts of Taskmaster?
Yes.
Because my initial thoughts were, oh man, that first look at the grill, I was like, that's not good. But after this one, I was actually excited for it. You guys?
I would say, yeah, personally. He's actually starting to look like Taskmaster, because that first trailer and the first shot of him, he literally looked like generic Hydra Goon number 7.
It's true. It looked really bad. The first trailer is like, oh, this. I didn't know who that was, and I was like, oh yeah, I guess that kind of does look like a skull a little bit. Like, oh, this is not going to be good.
And honestly, at first, I mean, the first shot you had of him was with him with the bow and arrow, and it's kind of, is this Hawkeye? Is this? But then in the second trailer where we got him doing the Black Panther claws, we got him whipping the shield around, we've got him doing all of it. So, I mean, I thought I went from rolling my eyes to, okay, I'm interested now. You guys hooked me on this one. Now the biggest thing they have to do is not kill him off.
Have they announced who the actor is?
Oh, sorry.
Have they announced who the actor is?
I don't believe they have. That's
got me worried. For the character is for Taskmaster. It's at the end of the movie. It's going to be a chick. It's going to be a brawny chick.
No, actually, I think it's going to end up being the sister, Yelena.
Really?
Ooh. Yeah, I think that's who it's going to end up being.
So it's going to be a brawny chick.
No, she's the little skinny blonde.
Yeah, no, but in the movie, there's muscles and stuff like that, and
she's wearing a muscle suit.
But still, it's going to be a brawny chick.
How did Echo be Ronin? She wore a muscle suit. Well, that plus the fact that everybody guessed that it was Hawkeye, and then Marvel had to find a way to be like, no, it's not Hawkeye. Really, we promise. And then, like 8 issues later, Hawkeye's in the Ronin costume.
So we all think that it's going to be like a diversity hire situation again.
I don't. I think the best thing it could do is not reveal it. I mean, you maybe reveal the actor, but don't. I don't see Taskmaster. I mean, I think he did do there was a reveal in the comic books, and he was some blonde dude or something. But keep the mask on. You don't just leave it on. Let's just stay that way.
Yeah, but they're going to want to see. Look, it's a woman. And she's beating everybody up. I get that strong whiff. That smell is coming back into the room again.
Well, they do have an unannounced guy that I have no idea who he is. O.T. Fagbinell. I can't say that name.
Oh, anyway. Yeah. O.T. Fabinelli.
That's right. That's what I said.
Yeah. You got it right, Stacks. Because that's the other thing too. Like, they have some people that they haven't, like, that we know have been cast, but they haven't exactly revealed, like what their roles are and stuff like that. And sometimes they like to keep that in their back pocket in case they do want to pull a switcheroo.
No, they announced who he's playing. He's playing some dude named Mason.
Yeah, right. Isn't that the? Oh yeah, that's right. He is playing some dude named Mason. But so that's what I mean, though. Like,
Mason's Taskmaster. I'm calling it now.
I
don't know.
I would not be surprised. But even more than who they end up revealing it to be, even if they do reveal it, I'm more so interested in a really good representation of Taskmaster, because I did really like the things that they started to show in the one, as far as the mask, once we actually got a little extra time in the mask and I can see, like the markings of the skeleton and stuff like that, then I was like, okay, so they did do a better representation of that. We got like the skeleton looking thing, but I really liked how, if you looked close, there was a little camera, like one of those little pencil cameras at the very top of his mask. And it seems like, he records people. And then we saw in the trailer how he was watching footage of Black Widow from Iron Man 2 when she first showed up. So I like the idea that, he's using everything at his advantage. Like he's using technology to record people, and then like Taskmaster can watch people and then pick up on their movements. And more so in the comics, he almost instantly can replicate what they do. I like that he has that. To me, that gives the mask a little bit more practical use, like in modern day. I of course I like the fact that it's almost like war paint. You know what I mean? Like someone sees it, it's supposed to strike fear in them. But aside from that, he also uses it to, of course, conceal his identity, but also record those people's movements. So yeah, he can watch them later. So if he ever comes back in contact with them again, even if he doesn't replicate their exact moves, he has one up on them. And that's something that I really like, because that's one of my favorite features about Captain America, that he's so, he's a tactical master. He can look into the field of battle, whether it's one-on-one or whether it's like a actual battlefield, and quickly, meticulously start picking apart advantages and disadvantages and then make a game plan. So to see someone like that, who has that ability, be in this movie, for me, who's such a big Captain America fan, Captain America is my favorite Marvel character, period. Even over Black Panther, I'm really excited to see that ability in there.
So, switching gears a little bit, because this is one that's baffled my mind, and I'm confused, or not confused. I'm interested to see where they're going forward on this. Do you guys think it was a huge mistake at the end of Far From Home for them to reveal Spider-Man's secret identity to the world?
Yes.
And how do they get themselves out of this?
I don't know if they have a way to. Unless he dies and we get Miles, or he changes his identity to Ben Reilly. That's also an option.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I could see. Man, I'm having a hard time tonight, guys. My brain is off the firing on about two
been a long
cylinders.
day.
You have Nick Fury show up and basically give him that secret identity. He comes back and what happened to the kid, kind of thing.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, they can. I mean, they can go that way. Although, I got a sneaking suspicion that they're gonna write their way out of this with, especially if because I've heard rumors that the next one is going to start into the Clone Saga.
Oh man!
And in which case, then, especially if there's a cloned Peter Parker, right, he can say, "I've never been Spider-Man, and somebody cloned me and gave that clone powers." Special, or anything like that.
Wow.
Right.
You think that's tying back to the technology they had there at the that creative vision?
Possibly. I mean, it could be the same tech. I mean, it's the same tech that they used to heal up Hawkeye, with essentially real tissue. It could end up being from the same laboratory, or it could still end up being, Miles Warren and him being weird. But maybe this time, instead of him obsessing over, Gwen, he's obsessed with Aunt May, since she's hot Aunt May. I don't know.
I would like to see a almost. Think back to Winter Soldier with the kind of the political thriller aspect of it and how well that movie did. And I mean, that's one of the top three easy. It rivals for number one every time. But him on the run, just constantly having to move and trying to clear his name, and then throw in somebody like Craven, or we already talked to Scorpion. We've seen Vulture already, but the makings of possibly the Sinister Six after him, and him just having to try to piece this thing together around it. I mean, I think there's a lot of potential in that movie going forward.
I think there is too. It's just a question of
execution.
How are they going to run with it? I mean, and that's where Sony failed, at least with Spider-Man, but so far Marvel hasn't really. I mean, they've been relatively successful with it. I can nitpick the crap out of the 2 Spider-Man movies so far, but they're not terrible in my opinion.
I think my biggest complaint is that the Spider Lad kind of the Iron Man Jr. effect that's going on, where he hasn't, even in Far From Home, whereas he was going to stand up and do his own thing, he gets a Tony suit. He gets an Iron Man, a new Iron Man spider suit. So I'm hoping in this it strips all that away, and he's just reliant on him being a smart kid and doing his thing, and just getting really back to basics.
Yeah, and I'd like to see a return to a more traditional Spider-Man suit that doesn't have a built-in AI.
Yes.
Right.
He gets whips and that's it.
Yeah, that was kind of an interesting one-off thing for the movie, but I don't really want to see that going forward. That's not Spider-Man to me.
Yeah, because right now he's still just Iron Boy.
Pretty much.
And I'm not a fan of Iron Boy. I want Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm probably coming in with the hot take right now. I am not a big Spider-Man fan as far as the comics are concerned. Now, with that said, I am a very, very big. I knew it. All right, good night, y'all. But I really do enjoy Peter Parker, and that I would like to see a really, really good Peter Parker. I will say that at least the Tobey Maguire movies gave us, I feel like, a more authentic Peter Parker as far as it coming to. Well, I mean, it's definitely better than Andrew Garfield because Peter Parker is not supposed to be the cool guy. But, just like how close he was to his family and friends and how much those relationships really, really meant for him. And I felt like, with the exception of who they revealed the Vulture to be, I really did like that angle. I wasn't a big fan of Far From Home. I felt like it was a waste of Mysterio. I had high hopes for Mysterio. So I felt like that was a bit of a waste. I'm a really big Jake Gyllenhaal fan. I feel like, he was underutilized. His chops and his acting go way farther beyond, what they ended up using him as. So more than anything, I do agree with you guys. I would like him to have his normal suit, just web shooters, like no technical assist, no tech assistant, AI assistant, none of that. I would like to see Peter Parker use more of his own intelligence and intellect, because he's a very bright individual too, as far as people being smart in the MCU. He's not nowhere near like Reed Richards and all of that, but he's still very capable. I would like to see him rely more on his spider senses, to alert him, and then his ingenuity and his problem solving skills to get him through battles, as opposed to like suits and stuff like that. But the biggest thing I would like to see is, well, I mean, I guess those are two of the biggest things. I would just like to see more Peter Parker being who he truly is, and then I would like to see the AI suits go away.
I think that the only movies that really showed him being a brain and him being intelligent was the Tobey Maguire movies.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, the others were just kind of like, oh, he's just a regular kid. He may know a few things about science, but he's not really that smart. And I just don't. The comics don't reflect that at all. He was won numerous awards and stuff like that. He was a very intelligent kid. So
I don't know though. Both of the Garfield movies, he had at least one whole section that was like a montage of him doing sciencey stuff. In both of the movies.
Gotta have a montage.
Yeah, I mean, like with him trying to figure out how to, do the thing with in the second movie, to protect his webbing against Electro.
Yeah. In the other ones, the Tobey Maguire movies, you had, the Doc Ock thing was the whole connection with Doc Ock through, because of science, his connections in the science field. The first movie, of course, you had him building up the web shooters and everything, and, he was the brain. He was talking to, Gwen Stacy. Oh, no, was it Mary Jane?
Mary Jane,
Yeah, he was talking about, and this spider does blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
But I see where you're going with that. They did touch on it, but I don't think it was quite to the extent. Personally, I don't think it's quite to the extent that they did with the Tobey Maguire.
The first Tobey Maguire, remember, Tobey had organic web shooters. He didn't make web shooters.
No, yeah, that was one of the parts that I didn't like, is that it was just in his wrist and he didn't make up the web shooters. But I enjoyed the fact that like in school, you know what I mean? Not just like, science, this and that. And, you're in the such and such class. So you and all those kids get to travel the world. Like, he like his professor literally telling him, catching up with them, like, you're always late for class. When you show up, you're always tired. You're one of the most brilliant students I have. But if you don't get that part of your life together, I'm going to fail you in this class. And even him getting with Doc Ock, I like how it was like, his actual intelligence plus Harry's connections. It was Harry, that was like, oh, yeah, Dr. Octavius, I can make that connection happen, for you. Like Harry knew that he wasn't smart enough, but he knew how intelligent Peter was. And he knew that Peter was so intelligent, he can introduce him to Otto Octavius, and Octavius wouldn't think that this is a waste of his time. You know what I mean? Like I want like that combination of things is what I think made it so strong. I mean, you could always do a montage and show that people, are like, oh yeah, they're sciencey. But my thing is, if you show more brilliant people, respect your intellect, and then also how that intellect, not just, oh, you're smart, but then you get in a pickle where it's like, I can't just rely on my brute strength, and I can't just rely on my web slingers. I have to use my brain to take what's in front of me, what I have available to me to solve this situation. Like, even though 3 was what it was, I love the fact that he picked up on, that vibrations affect the symbiotes, and how he, ended up catching the symbiote in the middle of all those poles and then banged on the poles, and the symbiote couldn't take it because he observed that when the bell rung, the sonic waves disrupted the symbiote. So things like that, I really want to see come back. But you're right. You can put all of those parts into a movie, and you could show that someone's smart and all that stuff. But if you don't weave it together well with your storytelling, then it won't come off as effective.
But
absolutely.
All right. Okay.
The definitive voice on Spider-Man, despite the fact that he doesn't like the comic books.
Kraven's Last Hunt is amazing, though.
Absolutely,
of course.
The only problem with the first trilogy, in my opinion, was number 3, and I think it was just them trying to do too much.
Well, that's because it was 2 movies that Sony kind of forced together. Raimi wanted to make one movie. What's her name? The chick that left Fox or Sony, the one that's still the producer on these current movies. She wanted to make the Venom movie. Raimi said flat out, "I never want to do Venom," and they forced him to do both.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sony.
Yeah.
Speaking of Sony, is anyone excited for Venom 2 possibly this summer?
Yes.
Actually, I am.
Yep.
It's not just me. Skip.
After seeing the stuff with where they redid the Woody Harrelson doesn't have the hair like he had. I think that actually looks decent. So anyway, go ahead, Skip.
Oh no, I'm not excited about it. I don't like Venom either. I like y'all are gonna kick me out of here. I don't like the only Venom that I liked is Agent Venom. That's the only Venom that I liked, and I know that's probably not a favorite from most people, but I don't like Venom. I don't like Carnage. I don't know what it was, but I always liked how they looked. They were always like really cool looking characters, but I don't like Eddie Brock. I don't like his character. The idea of the symbiotes is cool, but the symbiote is like obviously more of the star of the story to me in both of those than anything. I don't know. I'm not excited about. I love Tom Hardy. I love Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy is incredible, and I think he did do a good job. But I'm not excited about it at all. I'm gonna be one of those downer people.
So my take on the first Venom is was it goofy? Absolutely. Did it have some continuity issues that I wish they would have done differently? Yes. But at the end of the day, I sat through the movie and it was fun. And that's, I mean, did I walk away thinking it was a perfect movie, like an A+, like, oh my gosh, so good? No. But I walked away from it thinking, you know what, that was a fun movie. And
it was.
And that was kind of my big takeaway from it. I'm interested to see going forward how they expand that relationship with Eddie Brock and the symbiote. It's going to be interesting, especially I hope that Carnage doesn't come out as completely rushed, because I mean we already saw Riot, so if Carnage is going to be beyond that, it's going to be interesting. But I hope they could tell a good story with outside of just the symbiotes. The symbiotes are great for the fight scenes, but you have to be able to tell the story with the people, and I think they have the actors to be able to do that.
That's what I was gonna say. The casting is superb. Like Tom Hardy sharing screen time with Woody Harrelson. That if I have any excitement or any part that might be redeemable for me, it's going to be seeing those two on screen. Like, and not even with the symbiotes. I'm talking about the scenes where those two have to interact. His Eddie Brock with his was it Kane Marco?
Cletus Cassidy.
That's right. Kane Marco. So the whole other character. Cletus Cassidy. Juggernaut. Thank you. Yep. Crimson Man Sidorak. But yeah, that would be the only part that I'm looking forward to if I even go see that movie.
The best quote in that movie, I used it in one of my videos the other day, was "On my planet, I'm kind of a loser, you know, like you." That line got me. I love it. I don't know. It's just
one thing that on the as far if anybody wonders about Woody Harrelson playing a psychopath, watch Natural Born Killers.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah. Yes.
And if he brings some of that into the Carnage movie, into the Venom 2, oh my God, it's gonna be off the hook. You know, there's gonna be a lot of bodies hitting the floor. So, and I think it will be. It's gonna be R-rated. It's gonna be an R-rated Marvel movie. So there's gonna be a lot of death and.
I don't see how you could do Carnage in anything but R.
Yeah, a lot of body parts.
Yeah, and I'm wondering whether or not, especially going forward, you're gonna, see them kind of go and try to bring some of the null stuff from the current, Donny Cates run in. It would make sense because I think up until this point, the whole concept of the symbiotes was always a little weak. It was kind of a little boring. Almost like they were just imitating Alien a little too much. At least
I see where you're going.
And going and Null at the very least add some dimension and mythology to Venom, other than, especially when you eliminate the Spider-Man connection, you eliminate the Secret Wars connection, you eliminate the a lot of the other connections that Venom's backstory had. And having a bunch of symbiotes that just want to go back to space. and bring their people here, that it doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. They're like that. I don't feel the motivation there.
Yeah.
But I think if you add something like Null into it, Null's a good way to, especially with a hive mind type species, and especially one that can absorb one another. That I think that's you need to. Adding something like Null is almost necessary, and I'm really surprised that it took up until now for somebody to do it in the comics. I guess maybe it was that thing that nobody realized it needed.
Yeah, and Donny Cates has said he has a plan for a lot of that stuff, the Secret Wars, how the symbiote ended up in that machine, and all that stuff. So I'm interested to see how that comes out eventually. If he doesn't just run everybody off here in the next. That's a whole different stream for a whole different day, though.
Yeah.
There's some interesting stuff as far as you get to see. I think they said in the Thor movie or something, in the Blood and Thunder or whatever like that, that you might get to see references to Gore the God Butcher.
Well, one of the rumors is that's who Christian Bale is playing.
So yeah, I mean, or he's in the film. He's part of the film. I really don't know. I've not paid as much attention to it as I probably would have otherwise. But yeah, I mean, that's very interesting. If Gore the God Butcher's in there and you have Null at the same time.
And speaking of Love and Thunder, let's go ahead and peel that Band-Aid off. Very heavily promoted with the Jane Foster Thor. Y'all's thoughts on it as far as, is it going to actually appear as a staple in the movie, or is it going to be just an appearance in the movie?
I think it's going to be a cameo at best. I honestly do. I don't think that it's going to be much of anything there. I think she'll be able to hold the hammer and she'll get the power of Thor, but she won't really be Thor. And they won't really call her Thor. It'll just be Jane Fonda. Yeah, Jane Foster with the hammer for, one scene. The same way that, what's her name, wore the symbiote, and Annie wore the symbiote in the first Venom for like 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think that's what it's going to be. Because remember,
it'll be like when Cap had the hammer in Endgame.
Well, except for in this, Cap was actually, and Cap was actually, worthy because it was actual Mjolnir. I think Mjolnir's going to be back in this movie. They're gonna essentially rebuild it, but it's just not going to be enchanted this time. Because remember, the only reason that it was enchanted in the first place is because of when Thor got kicked out of Asgard in the first Thor movie. Up until that point, like the beginning of that movie, until he got kicked out, his hammer wasn't enchanted. Anybody could have picked it up.
Right.
Yeah, anybody could have picked it up. Yeah. Well, that actually makes the reference, and there's a scene in there where Loki is like one of the movies, one of the trailers or something I've seen. The hammer falls into the realm of the frost giants, and he looks at it. He walks over. He picks it up. He's looking at it and everything like that. Huh. Then all of a sudden, the hammer gets ripped out of his hand and pulled away.
I think that just happened in Thor number 4, didn't it?
Might have been in one of the previews, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember. But it was one of the trailers or something like that. So that makes sense. Yeah, it doesn't have the enchantment on it.
Yeah, I think that's what it's going to be. It'll be a new Mjolnir, but without the enchantment somehow.
That's kind of one of the things that makes it so unique, though, because he could just like set it on somebody and stay.
Yeah, and you could play pranks on your teammates by setting it on top of the toilet.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. The Spider-Man sitting there going, "Oh God, Thor is such an asshole."
Yeah.
So next one for y'all, as we continue along, check this out. Who do you guys think is going to be the next big villain for the MCU in this Phase 4?
Kang and
I hope
Galactus.
I hope so, both of them.
But I think it's going to be Kang because remember the Thanos that died in Endgame was the Thanos from 2014.
Correct.
Well, actually, both Thanoses died, but so he died in 2014. Therefore, he couldn't have died in 2024 or whenever the hell it was. Whenever the movie was actually set, so that he couldn't die then. So as a result, you're going to have, there's going to be a paradox, and you essentially end up with reality getting ripped apart. And
well, that's where the multiverse of madness comes in. That's he's going to have to
see. I'm tracking that. I'm tracking the Thanos thing, but my thought was okay. The initial gauntlet snapping Thanos. He died at the beginning of Endgame.
Correct.
The one from 2014 jumped into the future.
Correct.
And was killed there.
So he never snapped.
But we have a separate timeline that broke off when Loki took the Space Stone and took off to do whatever Loki's going to go do. So in Loki's timeline, Thanos still exists.
Yes, but I guess my point is now that you've broken time.
It's not broken. It's just different probabilities.
Well, yeah, but
I mean, branching.
But you went from having no branches to branches. The assumption was that there were no branches at this point, up until that point. And 2014, actually 2012, that you start breaking off branches. And you got 2012 where Loki escapes with the Tesseract. You got 2014 Thanos dying in 2020 something. And so now time is essentially broken. And
they're going to have the time variance authority. It's going to be coming in.
Well,
just to interject that.
But my point is, it opens the door to a time traveling villain such as Kang that can actually alter things it opens the door for him to use time travel because he's not really even time traveling. He's more dimensional jumping.
Is that how we're going to get? How we're going to get the Fantastic Four? Is trying to fix it and coming back with powers?
I think you're going to get the Fantastic Four in the fact that when you break time, it goes in both directions. And the Fantastic Four, honestly, and this would be the best way to do it. Have them as an actual 1960s, early on in the space race. They were, part of that, the project, but for whatever reason, they weren't allowed to go. So they stole the ship to go so that they could be the first people, the first Americans in space or on the moon or wherever the hell they wanted to go. And then, but they end up basically slipping through a crack in time. And then part of it is they get irradiated with the cosmic rays, but they're not really cosmic rays. They're more, interdimensional, time rays. And then they come back in the present. Yeah. So they kind of replace Cap as the man out of time, of filling that man out of time role. Plus, it makes sense for why they would remain so close as kind of that family, especially in a 2020 world where shit like divorce and everything's blended families and divorce and this and that, and everybody kind of going and doing their own thing, why they would remain together through all of the trials and tribulations of being superheroes. Because the only thing they have is each other as a memory of where they started from.
Yeah, I could well imagine somebody from the 1960s arriving in present day Earth. God, how do I get back? How do I get back?
I like the idea of that because we know time works differently there. We've already seen Janet Van Dyne come back, and she came back with weird, crazy healing people powers, where she healed Ghost or whatever from her phasing the way she was. So I could see it happening, especially with the time jump, and that does make a lot of sense as far as why they would, despite everything, they're still keeping that really close knit group because they relate back to the past and what they had and what they no longer have.
And if for them it could be just like a split second. It was like boom, then all of a sudden flash, and they're like, "Oh, weird! What's happened? Well, I don't know." And then their mission control. Oh, we can't get him. We're not getting mission control. Wonder what's going on. And they're just automatically 50 years, 60 years into the future.
Yeah, that would be, and it'll also explain why. Because remember, I mean, we all know who Kang is, right? I mean, he's both, the great grandfather. I mean, he's both Nathaniel Richards, which is both the grandfather of Reed and the great grandson of Reed, and he's also
his own grandpa.
He's his own great grandfather. And he's also, Immortus. He's Rama Tut. He's Iron Lad. He's, there was one other incarnation of him. So you have all of the different kind of phases of Kang. And then there was his Nathaniel Richards phase where he was just kind of the old man before he ends up Immortus. So it would explain, it would definitely be the way to connect the Fantastic Four with Kang, with the way that time is now kind of broken in the Marvel, in the MCU, and make for a great villain.
Any thoughts on Doom, anybody?
I think that if they do Doom, they need to not do Doom the way that they have in the past.
Agreed.
Where they've always connected his origin to that of the Fantastic Four. And I think that's where it's always failed.
I agree. I think that it would start better just having a Doom standalone movie coming out of what happened in Avengers 2 with whatever the darn Sokovia dropping out of the sky, and it just so happens Latveria is the next country over, and
exactly
he's stealing the Ultron bots afterwards. He's there immediately on the scene, looking like this, very like he's helping out. He's doing all the humanitarian efforts and everything. When in actuality, he's got special operators over there just stealing Doom bots and running them out of there, and then or stealing Ultron bots and then converting them into Doom bots once he gets them back home, and just building his army, and just going from there. And then you can use him, the mystical side of it. I mean, there's so many options there. He can be a great villain for anybody that shows up in the MCU, absolutely anybody. So, and then you can bring in, him. Don't anchor it to the Fantastic Four. If you have them basically as they know each other and they're competitive, that's fine. But let him go do his own thing for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, Doom needs to be I think Kang needs to kind of be part of the big bad for the next few phases, but also Doom. Where they're building Doom, especially because he needs to show up in a Doctor Strange movie too.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to Galactus. Everybody else is kind of stoked for who they're looking for in these movies. Galactus and Silver Surfer done properly.
That's the key. Because last time they screwed up Galactus so bad, it just broke my heart.
I desperately want to see Galactus in all his glory on the big screen. It's just that's going to be, oh my God. Can't wait.
Now, has anybody heard the possible villain for the Doctor Strange movie, the only one I've heard was Nightmare.
The way I understand it, it's Dormammu and Nightmare.
Okay.
That basically Nightmare is doing Dormammu's wishes.
Okay. I can deal with that.
Yeah, because Dormammu has a pact with Dormammu, so he's got to get somebody to work for him, or he'll be breaking his agreement.
Yeah.
What other movies we got out there that are slated that we haven't talked about?
Oh, the Eternals.
Yeah.
The only thing about that that I'm looking forward to is actually seeing Celestials for more than just that one little shot in the first Guardians movie.
Oh, and I've watched that shot like a million times. Him taking the staff and banging it down and with the stone in it and just wiping out the whole planet. Yeah. Oh man, that's gonna be insane. And they've hinted at Celestials a lot with the some of the movie poster stuff. Like they had the 17 different images or 13 or whatever different images it was that they thought all linked back to individual Celestials and stuff. So I'm all about some Celestials. And you could spin a lot of stories out, a lot of the cosmic stories out of the Eternals.
Yep, sure can. I'm just kind of I don't know if you guys ever actually read the Eternals comics.
I have not.
Nope.
The Kirby series.
I read a couple issues. It was not very good.
It was bad. So people are like really stoked about, oh, it's going to be the Eternals. It's great. It's going to be awesome. If it's anything like the comics, it's going to suck. So they're really going to have to. I mean, I know it's iconic. It's Marvel's history, and a lot of really important things came out of that series as far as the cosmic parts of Marvel. But overall, it's a really lackluster comic series. So,
I think that if they do it, they're going to be aiming more at the Neil Gaiman one from the early 2000s. Yeah. That's probably what they're going to use as part of the template for it. But then also try to bring some of the, Thor, Ragnarok, Guardians of the Galaxy, stuff to it. Some of that aesthetic, while also connecting back to, some Earthbound thing.
Okay.
The and it can Eternals can set up Galactus, possibly. I mean, I don't know if they're going to do the dying universe birth of him, or
no, you got to have Fantastic Four bringing in Galactus. I mean, that's the first appearance. You've got to do that.
No. But you can set it up in Eternals. You can
that's kind of you set it up here. Fantastic Four is going to be the ones that deal with it in their movie. I mean, they have to. If anybody else handles Galactus in the movie, I'll pick it in the street. Darn it. But you can set that up. You can set up. What else can you really set up off of Eternals? I know people have mentioned them trying to reintroduce the Inhumans, which they didn't.
No, I don't want anything to do with the
Actually, you know what? I got a feeling that, because remember, the Inhumans are products of the Kree experimentation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I got a feeling they're going to do Celestials as a way to backdoor and discuss, them seeding human DNA for what led to the beginning of the mutants. Yeah. Because there's a lot of Celestial connections back to the mutants, especially Apocalypse. Because remember, that armor that he wears is celestial armor, and his old ship was a celestial ship.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not going to say that I hate the Inhumans. I'm just not a fan of. I've just never been a fan of the comics of the way that the movies. I know that they want. I know that Vin Diesel has been really pushing hard to play Black Bolt.
Well, it was his gig before they canceled it.
Yeah,
and
he's
moved
really
it
pushing
to
hard to stay with it. So
yeah, but he's busy at this point between the Fast movies and I know that he's on at least for a couple, because Valiant is not done, even though Bloodshot is not exactly a huge success.
Yeah, unfortunate timing there had a lot to do with that.
Yeah, Valiant's not done, and he's going to basically be the centerpiece of that universe.
Good for him.
He's still Groot, and he's still Groot.
He's still Groot. So he's got at least another Guardians of the Galaxy movie in it, maybe two. So Guardians of the Galaxy 3 should have Thor and the Guardians in it, I believe,
and Beta Ray Bill.
And that'd be awesome.
I believe it's supposed to be as Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yep. We're gonna have Beta Ray Bill, and we're gonna have the what's her name? Oh, the chick, the Valkyrie.
Tessa Thompson.
Yeah,
she'll be in it.
I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about Asgardian. She's definitely in Thor 4.
I was talking about the comics with the Asgardians of the Galaxy comics.
Oh,
yeah. Okay.
Valkyrie's in there.
Yeah, but for the movie,
Valkyrie
I
and
think
Kid Loki.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but for the movie, I think they're gonna keep her just for the Thor movie, and Chris Hemsworth's gonna get to do double duty.
Okay, that's fine. I don't mind seeing Chris. He's one of my favorite. Now that Cap's gone and there's really not a whole lot left to tie. Tony's gone. There's not a whole lot to tie everything to the earlier phases. So
yeah,
is moving forward because when you had the new Avengers and actually now you had Black Panther leading the Avengers. Now they're saying it's going to be Captain Marvel that's leading it, but you think he's going to play a critical role moving forward for him?
He should be the leader of the Avengers. Period. He has seniority. He has the tactical knowledge. He has the connections as far as politics. He should be. Black Panther, T'Challa should be the leader of the Avengers, and not Captain Marvel at all. I mean, it's just no. He should be. He should be. I mean, he was kind of like he was second in command for the Infinity War movies anyway. So
do they set up the same relationship there, where you have T'Challa as Tony, as the financier almost, and then you have Captain Marvel as the operator?
That's kind of one of my biggest reasons as why I think he should be, because he's the money person. That was one of the things about Tony, because as we know, Cap is the real leader of the Avengers, right?
Right.
And throughout the movies, because of Robert Downey Jr.'s role, him kicking everything off with Iron Man and doing such a good job, even in the first Avengers movie, once they all fought together and they saw that Cap saw his tactical gift, as he started picking apart the Chitauri, everybody started to be like, all right, Cap, what else you got? Because he was an effective leader, and he was, as far as a moral compass, he had the best moral compass. And I feel like T'Challa is that from this way. He's led a country, so he knows what it is to lead. He knows it's a duty. He doesn't even always want to do it. He has the finances because Wakanda has all of those riches, and they can bolster that even more now that Wakanda is known to the rest of the world. And now they provide all this vibranium technology. So they have all the capital from that. They have Shuri as someone who could be, the tech maker, whatever they need as far as technology. That's all taken care of. And T'Challa was also Al Ewing's little run that he did on the Ultimates is one of my favorite Galactus stories of recent, and just one of my favorite galactic stories in recent comics. And he was also the leader of that iteration of the Ultimates. Him, Monica Rambeau was there, Blue Marvel was there, Captain Marvel was there as well, and they kind of played America, and she didn't suck in that book.
Yeah,
she was actually good. So that's something every time people talk about America and they're like, there's no good America books, I was like, there's one book that she's good in. And I feel like I'm missing one other person from that, but Monica Rambeau already said Spectrum. But anyway, all of them together, and that's how they played it. Like T'Challa was the main leader, the primary leader, but his second in command, and they never said it, and they kind of played back and forth, was Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, and their tension was similar to what Tony and Steve Rogers' tension was in the MCU. So I think they should go that route with it. I don't think they will, because they built Tom Holland up too high, and then they've given Captain Marvel in the movies too much too soon. But even if you just take the MCU movies for what they are and you don't force anything, it makes the most sense.
It does. I do think that with the X-Men coming in sometime soon, and I guess we're going to see Rogue come in on the heels of that very quickly. Nice. That'll be the exit point for Brie Larson from the MCU. Rogue kills her, takes her powers, Brie Larson dies, and Monica Rambeau takes over as Captain Marvel. Score!
I think
everyone wins.
Yes.
I think she's signed for 7 movies right now.
Oh my God. Hell. She can burn in hell. No.
But it could just be cameos. But guys, we've been doing this for an hour. I know I got to get off here. I got work early tomorrow, and I think Doc's kind of in the same boat. Yeah. But guys,
be up in 5 hours.
Blast.
Okay.
Let's just make the rounds real quick and let everybody know where they can find you. Skip.
I work with Wes on some videos on Thinking Critical, so you can see me over there. I'm also on Video Game Bang, which is like a nerd culture video game podcast thing. I talk comics over there as well. So those would be the 2 main places that you can find. Oh, and the Sacktown Breakdown, if you want to. There's no sports right now, but if you want to talk about some King stuff, check out the Sacktown Breakdown on YouTube and Twitch.
Good deal. Pele?
The Sacramento Kings?
That is correct.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, I'm not a Sacramento fan, but I might tune in anyway. So
right on.
Yeah, you'd find me at @just_Pele on Twitter and the Instagrams, and on the Twitters if you like to see political arguments and comic books at the same time, because I do talk about both stuff. So it's @just_Pele. Doc?
I'm just on Twitter @ScienceJesus. I'm exhausted, guys. Sorry.
Hey, bro. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. I hope everyone has a good night. Thank y'all for coming hanging out with us.
Next, real quick. Just for everybody in the chat, I have a little more juice than normal, which is rare. I'm going to go over to the Thinking Critical Twitch channel right now, and I'll read issue number 1 of Al Ewing's The Ultimate. So anybody who's interested, just go over to twitch.tv/thinking_critical_YT. Or look for I'll post it on Twitter as well, or look for it in the Discord for Thinking Critical. And if you guys want to, I'll read it over there right now.
All right, brother. Sounds good.
Yep. Good night, everybody.
Right,
peace.
Everybody, take care. Have a good evening.
Take care, y'all.
Wash your hands.
Wash your ass.
Wash your ass. Yeah.